Welcome back to another episode of the Victorious Podcast. And here on the Victorious Podcast, we help entrepreneurs elevate their standard of life, whether that's their body, their mind, their relationships, and their wealth. This is the one-stop shop where we're going to give you the tactical strategies, the techniques, the systems, and most importantly, the psychology that allows you to elevate your business, to elevate your health, your relationships, your wealth, but more importantly, elevate your standards as an entrepreneur so you can get to the next level. I'm Nick Santonastasso, and today we're going to talk about something that is really cool. It's called flow state. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but a lot of terms, listen to me, a lot of terms are thrown around in this world of personal development, the personal development industry, right? Self-growth, self-help, whatever it may be. On the first episode of the Victorious Podcast, I mentioned that you have been jaded by the word mindset. You've been jaded. And what I mean by that is the word mindset has been thrown around so many different times, and oftentimes you tell me that when we hear mindset, we think of motivation, right? Mindset, motivation, that's bullshit. Mindset isn't motivation. What mindset is, what psychology is training the body and the mind with enough repetition, intensity, and consistency so you change the biochemistry of your body. You actually change the way you feel, you change your emotions, you change your thoughts, you change your focus, you change your triggers. Neuroplasticity, the definition of neuroplasticity states that you can literally unwire and rewire the brain. No matter how old you are, you can literally unwire and rewire the brain. And studies also show that by the age of 35, listen to me, by the age of 35, you are 95% unconscious. That means your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, your triggers are on autopilot. That means I hold up 5 fingers but only got one. 5% of your brain is conscious trying to make a conscious change. That's also one of the reasons why change is hard. Change is hard is because you've been conditioned a specific way for years. And your brain wants what's known, what's certain, and what's comfortable. So the moment that you try to grow, the moment that you try a new lifestyle, a new business, a new diet, a new workout program, whatever it may be, your brain is going to try to talk you out of it because it doesn't like the new growth. It doesn't like the uncertainty. It just wants to keep you safe. And so I wanted to plant that seed because all of you listening to me, right? Like if you're listening to this podcast, what I can tell about you is you're an action taker. You're a high achiever. You're probably an entrepreneur striving to be a successful entrepreneur, right? You want the next level of life. Maybe for you want to break generational curses. Maybe for you want to create generational wealth. You want to be the guy or the girl in your family that says, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to take control of my lineage, my path, my legacy, and I'm also going to take control of the generational wealth side of things so the people that come, whether it's my kids and grandkids, can have opportunities that I didn't have. That's probably you sitting here. So if you're an action taker, a high achiever, and an entrepreneur, what I can also tell about you is that your brain, you're going to be in a constant battle with your brain of is this the right thing to do? Is this not? I'm scared. Should I go left? Should I go right? And we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about in this podcast real quick because I know I'm all over here. You see I have my espresso shot here. I'm fired up today, right? But we're going to talk about flow state. What is flow state? Why is it so powerful and how to achieve flow state more? And I'm also going to give you a formula to see where you're at. It's going to be really powerful for you and your business. And I'm also going to touch on how the decision process, like how to be more decisive, how to create better or make better decisions, and also touch on fear, which I talked about with your survival brain. So let's get right into it. And by the way, in this podcast, it's going to be short, it's going to be sweet like me, and it's going to be super straight to the point. If you're driving in your car right now, listen to this over again where you can write notes because I want you to retain as much information as you can. No bullshit here. I'm going to go straight into the gold. So flow state. What is flow state? Well, have you ever had a time in your life where you sat down and you're doing a specific activity and you looked up at the clock and 5 hours went by and you were like, oh my God, where did time go? Or maybe there's a specific activity that you do and when you do, you're kind of just so present that time kind of goes by. Is there a moment like that for you? I bet you there is. And by the way, I bet you because you're an adult, you probably have less flow state. I'm just challenging you here because we had a lot of flow state when we were kids. Now, flow state is you in your element. As an artist, whether that's creating, managing, whatever that may be, investing, but it's you doing something that's you're in your element. There's no fear of judgment, there's no fear of lack. You're just creating and you're in that special zone, right? The power zone. The zone where you don't like to get broken out of. And when you get broken out of, it takes you a little bit to get back into that zone. Do you know what I'm talking about? Right? So what I'm going to do today is teach you a little bit about flow state. I'm going to give you an equation to see where you're at and where you want to be in life, and also how you can acquire or call on flow state a little bit more so you can be way more productive in your business and in your personal life. And so, like I was saying, flow state is when you're in the present moment, where you're creating, you're in your sauce, you're just in life, right? Now, what's pretty interesting is a lot of the times, what induced flow for you, you probably stopped doing because you did an activity as a kid that you no longer do. Right? So we grew up and we went into this trap of growing up and we stopped doing things because we're adults now and we're older and we don't do that shit. Well, bullshit, right? We're all in our kids we all have our inner kids at heart. They're in there. They're always in there. You got to go visit them, right? But what was the thing, an activity, a hobby that you did as a young girl or a young guy that you no longer do? Right? Maybe for you it was bowling. Maybe for you it was dancing, it was hockey, it was chess, it was knitting, it was tap dancing, it was ballet, it was art, it was video editing. I don't know what it is, but I know there's something that you really enjoy doing that you don't do as much as you should now. Right? And that's okay. We grow up and we get conditioned a certain way. I'm here to help you unwire and rewire to think outside the box. Right? But what was that one activity, hobby that you loved to do as a little girl or a little boy that you no longer do? I want you to note that because I want you to go back to doing that thing. And I'm going to tell you the reason why at the end of this podcast, right? So flow state, there's an equation for flow state, and the equation is challenge versus skill. The creator of flow state, I forget his name, he wrote an amazing book. You can go check it out, just Google it. But there's an equation with flow state, and it's challenge versus skill, right? Challenge versus skill. And what that means is flow state is really achieved or acquired or activated when the challenge that you have in front of you is pretty equivalent to your skill set. So you're in that zone of just let's go, let's ride, let's crush it, right? Now I'm going to ask you, and be honest with yourself because the truth will set you free. This isn't for me, this is for you. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm not telling you you're bad or you're broken, none of that bullshit, right? But I'm going to ask you a specific question and I want you to answer to yourself. I'm going to take you through the process. So if flow state equation is challenge versus skill, I would ask you, in my life, the majority of the times, do I experience more boredom or more stress? In my life, the majority of the times, do I feel, on a day-to-day, do I feel more boredom or do I feel more stressed? Now, by the way, something that's going to pop up in your guys' thoughts is, I'm not bored or stressed, I'm perfect. And that's bullshit as well. And I'm going to call you out on that because I know you have more to be, more to serve, more to give, more to do, and I'm going to elevate your standards here at the Victorious Podcast. And what's pretty interesting is the more personal development work you do on yourself, the easier it is for you to hide your bullshit. Are you hearing me? The more personal development work that you do, the more inner work that you do on yourself, the easier it is for your brain to hide your bullshit and say, I know that. I've done that. I'm doing that. I already know. We all know that that's the brain trying to talk us out of growth, but that's also called the ego, which we need to drop and be students of the game, right? So in my life, the majority of the times, do I experience more boredom or do I experience more stress? Now, if you said boredom, you're screwed. No, I'm just kidding. If you said boredom, what that means is that your skill set is greater than your challenge that you have in front of you, so you're bored. Does that relate? Let me say that again. If you experience more boredom in your life, that means that your current skill set outweighs the challenge that's in front of you. Your skill set has exceeded, you're a master, you're crushing it at work, and what's in front of you isn't challenging you, so you're bored. Does that relate? And this is good news. We're all becoming aware. This is all pattern recognition, right? We're becoming aware. Now, if you're on the other hand, and you said, well, Nick, I experience more stress in my life, what that would mean is that your skill set is less than the challenge that you have in front of you. Meaning that the challenge that you have in front of you requires a specific level of certainty, skill, mastery, and you may not be there, so you feel uncertain, you feel stress, you feel anxiety. Does that make sense? Right? And that's okay. Usually anxiety and stress comes from a lack of preparation. The separation is in the preparation, as my mentor would say. Right? But a lot of times we feel anxiety and stress and kind of freaking out when we don't feel like our skill set is up to par with the challenge that we have in front of you. Does that relate? Right? So if you said boredom, it means my challenge in front of me is less than the skill set that I have. My skill set is greater than the challenge. And if you said I experience more stress in my life, that means that your skill set is a little bit less than the challenge that you have in front of you. Now, the good news is that once you answer the first question, you're becoming extremely aware of what you have to do. And the golden question, I want you to note this question. If you're driving in your car, don't note it, just stick it in your brain. But the question in your life to take your business and your personal life to the next level so you can acquire flow state even more, your majestic presence where you're creating, no fear of judgment, no fear of loss, the secret sauce. If you want to achieve more than that, then the question that I would ask you is, in my life, do I need to upgrade my current challenge or upgrade my current skill set? Right now in my business, or whether it's my personal life or my business, do I need to upgrade my challenge or upgrade my skill set? Now, what's beautiful about both sides of the spectrum is if you need to upgrade your challenge, set a bigger goal, challenge yourself. Now, if you said I need to upgrade my skill set, lucky for you, because you can acquire any skill set that you want. Any skill set that you want, if you're willing to do the work. If you're willing to go out and find the right people who have the results of the life that you want, and you learn from them so they can condense time. Right? And that's the beauty about both these things. You can elevate your challenge, that's easy. You can elevate your skill set, that's easy as well. You just need to be persistent enough. So I want to remind you that most humans, not superhumans, but most humans aren't persistent enough to get the results that they want. But superhumans on the other side, us, people like you and I, we are willing to persist in order to get a new result, so to have a new experience, to develop a new belief about ourselves. And let me break that down real quick. All it takes is for you to chip away at something, to develop a skill, to reach out to people, to sell a product, for you to get your first yes, your first proof of concept, which is a new experience about who you are and what you're capable of. And when you have a new experience, it then feeds into the belief about who you are and what you're capable of. See, on the other side of the spectrum, that's how misdiagnosis happens. You've misdiagnosed yourself saying, maybe this isn't for me. I'm not good at sales. I'm not good at business. I'm not good at leading. I'm not good at that. And you're basing your skill and your ability based off one experience when it didn't go your way. Does that relate? Right? So know that in your entrepreneurial journey, you're going to have no's, you're going to have rejections, but don't let that feed into the belief about who you are and what you're capable of. Because I promise you, all it takes is for you to get your first yes, your first sale, your first close, your first proof of concept, your first lead, your first like, your first comment, to say, I can really do this. And if I can do it once, I can do it 100 times. I can do it 1,000 times. But will you be persistent enough to get the results that you want, right? So I hope this flow state equation helped you, because now in your business and your personal life, all you need to ask yourself constantly is, do I need to upgrade my skill set? Do I need to acquire a new skill set or upgrade my current skill set? Or do I need to upgrade my challenge, my goal? I need to push myself. I need to put more pressure on myself. Which, by the way, I may have noted, you can't teach hunger. You cannot teach someone to be hungry as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. Hunger isn't taught. It is forced out of you. And how hunger is forced out of you is when you put a little bit of pressure on yourself, when you put your back against the wall. Because the truth is, when humans put their back against the wall, they either die or they thrive. And most of the time they'll thrive. But the truth is, most people won't put the pressure on themselves because they live an average life and they play it safe. And it may not even be your fault that you're playing it safe. The whole world around you has told you ever since you were born to play it safe. What's your plan A? What's your plan B? What's your plan C? And the truth is, people who have multiple plans, they don't succeed because they haven't burned the boats. My great mentor told me, if you want to take the fucking island, you better burn the fucking boats. Are you willing to burn the boats? Are you willing to go all in on yourself and be persistent enough to get the results and the new experience to develop new beliefs about who you are and what you're capable of, right? I hope this is making sense. By the way, if you need to hear this again, shoot it over, replay it, share it with a friend, whatever it may be. This is the type of psychology and this type of mindset that you need to have in order to achieve things. I told y'all, look at me, I have no legs and one arm. I don't have anything different than you. In some cases, I have less. But I do have the psychology. I do train myself. I do the inner work, and I'm always learning, and I'm always failing, which is feedback. And that's why I'll always succeed, right? So we went over flow state equation, challenge versus skill. What do I need to upgrade? We went into fear a little bit, which, by the way, fear is always going to be there. Fear doesn't go away whether you're Nick, Tony, Ed Milet, whatever it may be. Fear doesn't go away. You just learn to dance with it. You just learn to leverage it. You just learn to realize that it's a part of life, and on the other side of fear is everything that you want. Everything you want in life is on the other side of fear, right? Now, the last thing that I want to touch on is decisions, right? One of my incantations is I am decisive. I say it every single day. I am decisive. I am decisive. I'm a force for good. I'm a student of the game. I'm kind. Abundance flows through me. I'm decisive. I'm evolving as a leader, becoming the man I'm meant to be. I'm mastering the skill of influence. These are my incantations, right? By the way, Nick's all jazzed up on espresso, so I hope you're writing notes fast. When it comes down to decisions, as an entrepreneur, you're getting paid by your ability to do two things. The first thing is to solve problems, and the second thing is to decide, to be decisive. Real leaders, real entrepreneurs decide. Now, the truth is, most entrepreneurs' problems is they think they shouldn't have problems. Are you hearing me? Most entrepreneurs' problems is they think that they shouldn't have problems. But that's the gift, that's the learning, that's the worthy opponent. It's the meaning that you give it, right? But when it comes to decisions, listen to me on this. You've been in school. If you finished school, I only went up to high school, to be honest. You have 12 years of indoctrination, conditioning. Because, by the way, when you're a kid, your brain is mostly in theta state between 0 and 7 years old. You're most suggestible, right? Now, in school, you're taught a few things. To sit down, to shut up, to only talk when your hand goes up, and then you study for some material. You only get taught in a certain way, by the way. They don't hit on all the different ways of learning. You all have a different taste of learning. But then when you take a test, on each question, is there one right answer or is there four? There's only one right answer on your test. And you've been conditioned that if I don't pick the right answer, that I fail, then I lose, and it's the wrong answer. So you've been conditioned like 12 years of your life, 12 of the most important years of your life, that if I don't make the right decision, I fail, I lose, the game's over. And then you become an adult and you realize that's bullshit. Because there's multiple decisions that lead to success. There's multiple pathways and journeys and trails that lead to success, yes or no? Right? So when it comes down to decision making, understand that there is no right or wrong decision. The only bad decision is not making a decision. Let me say that again. There is no right or wrong decision. The only bad decision that you can make is not making a decision. That's the worst decision that you can make, is not making the decision. Every decision is going to have a pro and a con. Every decision is going to gain someone and hurt people. You can't have the best of both worlds, but we just need to focus on being decisive, following through on our intuition and our gut a little bit more, not from our head, but our heart, and deciding and figuring it out. This is a fundamental skill, principle, that will allow you to elevate your standards in your personal life and your business. Because we can think back, how many times have I procrastinated and been indecisive and missed out on something? Right? You see, we get uncertain, but the truth is, real leaders and real entrepreneurs create certainty when it's not even in the room. Real leaders and real entrepreneurs become certain or snap back into certainty even when they're uncertain, so they can lead and they can charge. But we got to start making decisions fast. I want you to note that action takers are money makers. People who make decisions fast are more successful than the people that make decisions slow and go back on this and go back on that. Studies show this with psychology. So with that being said, to reflect, I hope this was super valuable for you, but to reflect back on what we just talked about is flow state. What is one thing as a young kid that I did that I really enjoyed that I no longer do? I want you to do that activity. Because the truth is, you'll self-induce flow more, and also the truth is your best ideas come from moments of leisure. What? My best ideas come from the moments of leisure. Have you ever got a good idea on the toilet or in the shower? Why? Because you weren't focused on business. You were just in leisure, just in relaxed state. And that's where some of the best ideas come. Not when you're forcing it, but when you're just living. Right? And the reason why I share that is because a lot of you are like me. That's why you're here. Meaning you fucking work hard. You grind and grind and grind, and sometimes you neglect other areas of your life, because I know I have. I went all in on my business, maybe pulled out of my relationship. I've been all in on my business, maybe neglected my health, right? I want you to be a well-rounded entrepreneur and a well-rounded superhuman, right? So what is the very activity that I did as a kid that I no longer do? I want you to do more of that. The second question that I have and I want to leave with you here with is, in my life, do I need to upgrade my challenge or do I need to upgrade my skill set, right? And maybe the third question that I would ask you is, what is something that I've been indecisive on that I just need to pull the trigger and make the decision and decide? Because I firmly believe you are one decision away from changing the trajectory of your life. And the truth is, your life comes down to all the decisions that you make. It comes down to a decision when you decide, when you commit. The reason why I'm here today in front of you is because my parents decided not to abort me when everyone said you should abort him. The reason why I'm here today is because I decided that I was going to learn all the tools of psychology and strategies so no one have to suffer like I did or my brother who passed away. I decided. So what is that one thing that you're going to decide on from this podcast and you're going to commit to that can change the trajectory of your life that maybe you've been putting off? I'll leave you here with that. Remember this, knowledge is potential power, but the real power comes from implementing the knowledge that you hear if it makes sense to you. So don't be that guy or girl who just listens to this and goes on to the next thing. Answer the questions, do the work, and I promise you, life will never be the same. I'm Nick Santanastasiou. This is the Victorious Podcast. We'll see you next time. Send in love.